Take a deep breath and let the weight of the day settle into the mattress beneath you. Feel your shoulders drop and your jaw soften as you prepare for a journey into the remarkable, resonant architecture of your own auditory mind. Isn't it remarkable to consider that your ears are the very first sense to awaken? Long before you opened your eyes to the light of the world, you were already a creature of sound. In fact, by just the 16th week of gestation, the tiny bones of the inner ear are fully formed, making the ear the first organ to reach its full functional size. At this stage, your fetal brain began processing the rhythmic thrum of your mother's heartbeat and the low-frequency vibrations of her voice. This deep biological connection to sound is why, even now as you lie here, certain frequencies can make you feel so profoundly safe. This is the foundation of sound healing, a practice that is as much about modern neuroscience as it is about ancient tradition. When we think about sound, we often think of it as something we hear. But your brain understands sound as something you feel. Sound is a mechanical pressure wave. When a singing bowl is struck or a low note is played on a cello, those waves move through the air and eventually meet your skin. Because your body is composed of approximately 60 to 70% water, these vibrations travel through you 4 times faster than they do through the air. Specifically, sound moves through the water in your tissues at roughly 1,480 meters per second. Imagine that for a moment. Your very cells are dancing to the rhythm of the environment around you. As you settle deeper into your pillows, consider the vestibulocochlear nerve, also known as the 8th cranial nerve. This is the direct highway between your inner ear and your brain. It is one of the few nerves in the human body that is almost entirely myelinated, meaning it is covered in a fatty sheath that allows electrical signals to travel at lightning speeds by the time you are born. This nerve doesn't just handle hearing, it also manages your sense of balance and equilibrium. This is why a discordant, jarring noise can make you feel physically unsteady, while a smooth, harmonic tone can make you feel grounded. You've likely felt this yourself, the way a low, steady hum seems to pull your energy downward, anchoring you to the earth. In the ancient world, healers understood this intuitively. Around 500 BC, the Greek philosopher Pythagoras, who we often remember for his geometry, was actually a pioneer in what he called musical medicine. He discovered the perfect fifth, a musical interval with a mathematical ratio of 3:2. Pythagoras found that this specific ratio had a unique ability to harmonize the spirits of his students. Modern research now supports this. A study published in the journal Sensors found that the perfect fifth interval specifically stimulates the autonomic nervous system to move from a fight or flight state into a rest and digest state. It's as if your nervous system recognizes the geometry of the sound and decides it is safe to let go. Think about the texture of a sound. Some sounds feel smooth, like cool silk. This is often the result of sine waves, pure tones without jagged edges. Other sounds feel warm and fuzzy, like a heavy wool blanket. These are often rich in overtones. When an ancient Tibetan singing bowl is played, it produces a fundamental note, but it also produces a series of harmonics, or overtones. Your brain's primary auditory cortex, located in the temporal lobe, has to work to integrate all these different layers of sound. This process of integration actually consumes quite a bit of neural energy, which, paradoxically, helps you relax. By giving your brain a complex but predictable pattern to focus on, you are effectively shushing the parts of your mind that like to worry about the future or ruminate on the past. You might be familiar with the sensation of entrainment. This is a principle of physics first observed by Christian Huygens in 1665. who noticed that two pendulum clocks hanging on the same wall would eventually begin to swing in perfect unison. Your brain does the exact same thing with sound. This is called brainwave entrainment. If you listen to a steady rhythmic beat of about 4 to 8 cycles per second, your brain's electrical activity will begin to mimic that frequency. This is the range of theta waves. Theta waves are the magical bridge between the conscious and the subconscious. They are most prominent during deep meditation and that hazy, beautiful state you are in right now. The hypnagogic state between wakefulness and sleep. While you are in this state, your brain is doing some incredible housekeeping. Have you ever wondered why you feel so refreshed after listening to the sound of steady rain? Rain is a form of pink noise. Unlike white noise, which has equal power across all frequencies, pink noise has more power at lower frequencies. A 2017 study from Northwestern University found that when pink noise was synced to the slow-wave brain activity of older adults during sleep, it led to a 26% improvement in their memory recall the following day. The sound actually helped the brain stay in deep, slow-wave sleep longer, allowing the glymphatic system, the brain's waste clearance system, to work more efficiently. This system, only discovered in 2012, clears out metabolic debris 10 times faster when you are asleep than when you are awake. As you breathe in and out, imagine the sound of a low resonant chant. Many ancient cultures used the Om chant or similar low-frequency vocalizations. There is a fascinating neurological reason for this. The vagus nerve, the longest nerve of your autonomic nervous system, wanders from your brainstem all the way down to your abdomen, touching your heart and lungs along the way. Crucially, a branch of the vagus nerve ends in the outer ear canal, and another runs right behind the vocal cords. When you hum or listen to low-frequency vibrations, around 30 to 120 hertz, you are physically stimulating the vagus nerve. A 2011 study in the International Journal of Yoga used fMRI scans to show that chanting Om significantly deactivated the amygdala, the brain's alarm bells for fear and anxiety. By simply experiencing these vibrations, you are sending a physical signal to your brain that says, all is well. Consider the sensation of a tuning fork being placed near your body. You might feel a gentle tingling. This is because sound waves can trigger the release of nitric oxide in your tissues. Nitric oxide is a molecule that helps your blood vessels dilate, increasing blood flow and lowering blood pressure. It acts as a natural signal for your cells to relax and repair. This is the healing in sound healing. It is a molecular response to a mechanical stimulus. You are not just listening to a story. You are undergoing a physiological shift. Our minds are also deeply attuned to spatial sound. Your brain uses the superior olivary complex to calculate the tiny difference in time, sometimes just microseconds, between when a sound hits your left ear versus your right ear. This allows you to perceive 3D space. In a sound healing journey, when a practitioner moves a chime or a bowl around your head, it stimulates your brain's spatial processing centers without requiring you to move a muscle. It creates a sense of vastness in your mind. This feeling of expansion is often associated with the release of dopamine in the nucleus accumbens, the brain's reward center. It's why some sounds can make you feel a sense of awe or chills, a phenomenon known as frisson. Think of your brain right now as a grand cathedral. The sounds you are imagining are echoing off the high arches of your cortex. In this quiet space, your thalamus is acting as a vigilant gatekeeper. The thalamus is a small egg-shaped structure in the center of your brain that relays sensory information. As you drift closer to sleep, the thalamus begins to gate the sounds of the outside world. turning down the volume of the room around you so that you can focus on the internal symphony of your thoughts. However, it stays tuned to meaningful sounds. This is why you can sleep through a loud air conditioner, but wake up instantly if someone whispers your name. Your brain is remarkably discerning, protecting your rest while staying alert to what matters. There is a concept in psychology called the sound of safety. Research suggests that human beings are evolutionarily programmed to find mid-frequency sounds, like the range of a calm human voice, the most soothing. High-frequency shrieks or very low-frequency rumbles in nature often signaled danger, like a predator or a thunderstorm. But the rhythmic melodic sounds used in ancient practices mimic the prosody of a mother's lullaby. This triggers the release of oxytocin, often called the cuddle hormone, which promotes feelings of trust and relaxation. As you lie there, you might feel a slight coolness in the air or the texture of your sheets against your skin. These tactile sensations are being processed in your somatosensory cortex, right alongside the auditory information. When sound is used therapeutically, these senses merge, a process called synesthetic integration. You might find that you can see a sound as a color or feel it as a temperature. This is a sign that your brain is becoming more plastic or flexible. In this state of high neuroplasticity, your brain is better able to rewire itself, letting go of the rigid patterns of the day and preparing for the restorative work of the night. Remember, your brain is a musical instrument. It has its own rhythms, its own harmonies, and its own resonant frequencies. Right now, you are tuning that instrument. You are slowing down the tempo. You are moving from the staccato, hurried pace of your beta waking mind into the long, flowing alpha waves of relaxation. Isn't it wonderful to know that your mind knows exactly how to do this? You don't have to force it. Just as a string on a harp continues to vibrate long after it's been plucked, the calming effects of this knowledge will continue to ripple through your mind as we journey further. You are a masterpiece of biological engineering, designed to find harmony, designed to heal through vibration, and designed, above all, to rest. Picture the air in an ancient subterranean stone chamber, carved deep into the limestone of the island of Malta over 5,000 years ago. In this place, known as the hypogeum of Hal Saflieni, there is a specific niche called the Oracle Room. What's quite a spectacle to realize is that when a low voice intones a note within this chamber, the entire structure resonates at a frequency of exactly 111 Hz. At this specific frequency, modern EEG studies have shown a distinct shift in the brain's electrical activity. Specifically, the activity in the left prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for logical processing and language, significantly decreases, while the right prefrontal cortex becomes more active. This shift is associated with a state of creative intuition and emotional processing. Our ancestors may not have had EEG machines, but they were master architects of the human psyche, using the very earth to alter the chemistry of the mind. Think of your brain, right now, as a grand, biological loom, weaving together threads of sound and silence. Long before the written word, human beings were using sound as a primary tool for communal regulation. In the vast landscapes of the Australian outback, Aboriginal cultures have utilized the didgeridoo, or yidaki, for at least 40,000 years. This instrument produces a complex drone, rich in low-frequency vibrations, often below 50 Hz. Interestingly, research in the field of vibroacoustic therapy suggests that frequencies in the 20 to 70 Hz range can actually stimulate bone density and promote the repair of muscle tissue. By creating these deep, vibrating tones, These ancient healers were essentially using sound as a form of non-invasive massage for the nervous system, a practice we are only now beginning to quantify through the lens of cellular biology. Observe how your own breathing might be slowing down as you envision these ancient sounds. What's happening now is a process known as rhythmic entrainment. This is governed by the motor cortex and the premotor area of your brain. Even when you are lying perfectly still, these regions remain active as they track the rhythm of the information you are receiving. A study published in the Journal of Neuroscience demonstrated that the brain's neural oscillations, the rhythmic firing of neurons, will synchronize with the external rhythm of a beat. This isn't just a mental trick, it's a physical locking in. When our ancestors gathered around a fire for a drumming circle, they were quite literally synchronizing their brainwaves, creating a collective state of consciousness that reduced individual stress and fostered social bonding. In fact, a study conducted at UCLA found that group drumming actually increases the activity of natural killer NK cells, the specialized white blood cells that target virally infected cells. Participants in the drumming circles showed a significant boost in these immune system warriors compared to a control group that just listened to music. This suggests that the physical act of engaging with rhythm can modulate the endocrine system, specifically lowering levels of cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. By the time the drumming session ended, participants' cortisol levels had dropped by nearly 60%, a measurable shift that rivals many pharmacological interventions. Consider the architecture of a Greek theater, like the one at Epidaurus. The Greeks understood acoustics with a precision that borders on the miraculous. They built their theaters with limestone seats that acted as natural filters, suppressing low-frequency background noise, like the rustle of a crowd, while amplifying the high-frequency sounds of the performers' voices. This ensured that even the smallest whisper from the stage could be heard in the back row. In the view of a psychologist, this is a perfect application of the cocktail party effect, or selective auditory attention. Your brain's primary auditory cortex, located in Heschl's gyrus within the temporal lobe, is expertly designed to filter out irrelevant environmental data so you can focus on the signal within the noise. Even as you rest, your Heschl's gyrus is quietly monitoring the room, ensuring you remain undisturbed unless a significant change in the environment occurs. Deep within the midbrain lies a tiny structure called the inferior colliculus. This is the brain's primary integration station for sound. It processes information faster than almost any other part of the central nervous system. In our evolutionary past, this speed was vital for survival. It allowed our ancestors to pinpoint the exact location of a snapping twig in a dark forest within milliseconds. This is known as binaural hearing. Your brain calculates the interaural time difference, the gap between when a sound reaches your left ear versus your right ear. If a sound is just 10 microseconds earlier on one side, your inferior colliculus knows exactly where it came from. Today, we use this same ancient hardware to feel a sense of safety and space when we listen to high-fidelity, atmospheric recordings. It's worth noting that the ancient Egyptians were among the first to document the use of vowel sounds for healing. In their temples, they practiced toning, where specific vowels were chanted to vibrate different parts of the body. From a linguistic and neurological perspective, every vowel you speak creates a distinct formant, a peak in the sound spectrum. Your auditory cortex is so specialized that it has specific clusters of neurons that respond only to certain vowel formants. When you hear a long resonant ooh or ah, it triggers a different neural signature than a sharp e or a. This specialized processing occurs in the superior temporal gyrus, which is also heavily involved in processing the emotional tone of a voice, known as prosody. Around 1948, a psychiatrist named Ira Altschuler developed what he called the ISO principle in music therapy. He discovered that the most effective way to change a person's mood was to first match the music to their current emotional state, and then gradually shift the music toward the desired state. If you are feeling restless, starting with a fast-paced sound and slowly slowing it down is more effective than jumping straight into silence. This works because of the way the thalamus, the switchboard of the brain, relays information to the limbic system. The thalamus doesn't just pass signals along, it modulates them based on your current level of arousal. By slowly guiding the thalamus with sound, we can gently lead the entire nervous system from a state of high alert to a state of profound stillness. At this very moment, your brain may be benefiting from a phenomenon known as the Mozart effect. While popular culture often simplifies this, the original 1993 study by Rauscher and colleagues found that listening to complex organized musical structures for just 10 minutes led to a temporary increase in spatiotemporal reasoning, the ability to visualize and manipulate patterns in space. Participants' scores on spatial tasks improved by 8 to 9 points on the IQ scale. This happens because the complexity of the music primes the same neural pathways used for higher-order mathematical and spatial thinking. You aren't just relaxing. You are actually refining the connectivity between your parietal and frontal lobes. Furthermore, scientists at MIT have recently discovered that specific sound frequencies can even influence the brain's immune cells, called microglia. In studies involving 40 Hz sound stimulation, a frequency in the gamma range, they observed that the microglia became more active in clearing the cellular debris that can accumulate in the brain. This 40 Hz stimulation was found to increase the power of the brain's natural oscillations, helping to synchronize distant brain regions. While this research is ongoing, it highlights the incredible potential of sound to act as a regulatory signal at a microscopic level. Notice how the weight of your limbs feels slightly different when you focus on a steady, low hum. This sensation is processed in the insula, a part of the brain tucked deep inside the lateral sulcus. The insula is responsible for interoception, your awareness of the internal state of your body. When you experience resonant sounds, your insula maps the vibration as a physical sensation. This is why sound healing often feels like it is happening inside you rather than to you. It's a bridge between the external world and your internal biological landscape. In the realm of collective experience, Oxford University researchers found that when people sing in a choir together, their heart rates actually synchronize. But more importantly, the act of collective vocalization triggers a massive release of endorphins, the body's natural painkillers, and oxytocin. This social flow state is mediated by the ventral striatum, a key component of the brain's reward circuitry. Our ancestors used this biological reward system to ensure that the group stayed together, knowing that there was safety in numbers and harmony in sound. Even the physical shape of your brain is influenced by your relationship with sound. In professional musicians, a region called the planum temporale, located in the temporal lobe, is often significantly larger and more asymmetrical than in non-musicians. Additionally, the volume of gray matter in Heschel's gyrus, the primary auditory landing zone, tends to be greater. This is a testament to neuroplasticity. Your brain physically expands its resources to better process the sounds it deems important. As you rest now, your brain is utilizing this same plasticity to integrate the information you are hearing, strengthening the neural pathways that promote peace and stability. Picture a single drop of water falling into a still pond. The ripples move outward in perfect concentric circles. This is how sound moves through your brain's white matter. The long-range connections that link different regions together. When you listen to harmonious sounds, it's like those ripples are moving smoothly, without hitting any obstacles. But when you hear a discordant noise, it's like a stone being thrown into the pond, disrupting the pattern. Your brain is constantly seeking that smooth, rippling flow. It wants to find the consonance, a state where the frequencies of the sounds you hear are in simple mathematical ratios to one another, like 2 to 1 or 3 to 2. These ratios are processed with less neural effort, allowing your prefrontal cortex to finally go offline and rest. As we continue, remember that your auditory system is the only sense that never truly sleeps. Even in the deepest stages of rest, your brain is still performing a mismatch negativity, MMN, test. This is an automatic response where the brain compares every new sound to the one that came before it. If the sounds are predictable and soothing, the MMN response remains low, allowing you to stay in your restorative state. You are being looked after by a biological system that has been refined over millions of years to know the difference between the wind in the trees and the footfall of a predator. You are safe, you are resonant, and your mind is a masterpiece of historical wisdom and modern biological precision. At this very moment, imagine your mind is a high-precision radio, gently turning its dial to find a frequency of perfect clarity. Within the spiral-shaped chamber of your inner ear, known as the cochlea, there is a delicate structure called the basilar membrane. This membrane is lined with approximately 20,000 microscopic hair cells, each tuned to a specific pitch, much like the individual strings of a grand piano. When a sound enters your ear, it doesn't just pass through, it sets these biological strings into motion. What's truly striking is that these hair cells are arranged tonotopically, meaning cells that respond to high pitches are at one end, and those that respond to low pitches are at the other. This ensures that your brain receives a perfect, mapped-out representation of every vibration in your environment. Deep within your brainstem, a specialized cluster of neurons called the superior olivary complex is performing a feat of mathematical genius. This area is the primary site for processing binaural beats. If you were to hear a tone of 300 Hz in your left ear and 310 Hz in your right ear, your brain wouldn't just hear two separate sounds. Instead, the superior olivary complex subtracts the difference and creates a phantom third tone of 10 Hz, a frequency that doesn't actually exist in the physical world, but exists entirely within your consciousness. Scientists have discovered that by presenting the brain with these phantom frequencies, we can encourage the mind to enter specific states. For instance, a 2005 study published in Third World Medicine found that binaural beats in the delta range, 1 to 4 Hz, significantly increased the duration of deep sleep in participants, acting as a gentle nudge for the brain to settle into its most restorative rhythm. What's happening now is a shift in your auditory scene analysis. Think of your brain as a master chef in a busy kitchen. Just as a chef can taste a complex sauce and identify the individual notes of garlic, basil, and salt, your auditory cortex, specifically an area called the planum temporale, is parsing the sounds around you. It separates the hum of the air from the cadence of my voice and the rhythm of your own breath. This process allows your default mode network, the part of your brain that is active when you are daydreaming or thinking about yourself, to quiet down. A study from the University of California, San Diego, revealed that when we engage in deep listening, The activity in the medial prefrontal cortex decreases, which helps reduce the mental noise of daily worries. It's as if the chef has finished the meal and is finally sitting down to enjoy the silence of the kitchen. Consider the specific frequency of 528 Hz, often referred to in ancient solfeggio scales as the miracle note. While it sounds like ancient lore, a 2018 study conducted at Juntendo University in Japan provided a biological basis for its effects. Researchers found that exposure to 528 Hz music significantly reduced cortisol levels and increased the activity of the parasympathetic nervous system after only 5 minutes of listening. More impressively, it increased levels of oxytocin, the hormone associated with bonding and safety. Picture this sound as a gentle gardener, tending to the landscape of your cells, removing the weeds of stress and planting seeds of tranquility. As you settle further into the comfort of your bed, notice how your body feels like a biological tuning fork. When you encounter a sustained harmonic sound, your tissues undergo a process called forced resonance. Because your bones are crystalline in structure, containing a mineral called hydroxyapatite, they are excellent conductors of vibration. This is why a low-frequency gong or a deep vocal chant can feel like it is vibrating in your very marrow. Scientists have measured that these vibrations can stimulate the production of nitric oxide in the blood vessels, which acts as a vasodilator, widening the vessels and allowing oxygen to flow more freely to your muscles and brain. At this stage of your evening, your brain is beginning to produce sleep spindles. These are brief bursts of high-frequency brain activity, usually between 11 and 16 Hz, that occurred during the second stage of sleep. What's occurring now is a fascinating defensive maneuver. The thalamic reticular nucleus acts as a biological do not disturb sign. It effectively blocks sensory information from reaching the higher parts of your brain, ensuring that a sudden noise outside doesn't startle you awake. Research published in Current Biology indicates that people who produce more of these spindles are more noise-resilient sleepers. Your brain is essentially building a wall of sound to protect your peace. Think of your echoic memory as a short-lived reservoir for sound. This is a type of sensory memory that holds an exact copy of a sound for about 2 to 4 seconds after it has stopped. This allows your brain to replay a sound, to understand its meaning. You've experienced this when you've asked someone, "What did you say?" only to realize you actually heard them a second later. Your primary auditory cortex is constantly dipping into this reservoir, ensuring that the flow of information is seamless and continuous. This creates the melodic feeling of life, the sense that one moment flows perfectly into the next. One can observe a striking pattern in how we respond to pink noise, which is often used in sound healing. Unlike white noise, which contains all frequencies at equal intensity, pink noise decreases in power as the frequency increases. This mimics the mathematical patterns found in nature, the sound of a waterfall, the rustle of leaves, or the rhythm of a heartbeat. A 2012 study from Peking University found that steady pink noise can reduce brainwave complexity by nearly 25%, leading to a more stable and synchronous state of mind. It's like moving from a jagged, rocky path onto a smooth, paved road. Your neural pathways simply have less work to do to process the environment. Deep within the temporal lobes, the hippocampus is preparing for its nightly rehearsal. This small seahorse-shaped structure is the center for memory consolidation. During your rest, the hippocampus replays the events of the day, but it does so in a rhythmic synchronization with the prefrontal cortex. This is known as sharp wave ripples. It's been found that certain sound frequencies can actually enhance the strength of these ripples. Specifically, rhythmic acoustic stimulation that is timed to your brain's natural slow waves can help stamp memories into long-term storage more effectively. You are not just resting, you are organizing the library of your life. Notice how the texture of your thoughts is changing. This is due to the release of adenosine, a chemical that builds up in your brain the longer you are awake. Adenosine acts as a natural dimmer switch for your neurons. When you combine the pressure of adenosine with the calming influence of harmonic sound, you create a powerful sleep drive. Your neurons begin to fire in slow, synchronized pulses known as delta oscillations. In this state, the distance between your conscious self and the dreaming self begins to narrow. Scientists discovered in a 2017 study that when participants listened to consonant musical intervals, those based on simple mathematical ratios, the nucleus accumbens released a burst of dopamine. This is the same part of the brain that responds to delicious food or a warm embrace. This means that healing sounds are physically rewarding to your brain. Your mind seeks out harmony because it is biologically programmed to recognize it as a state of health and balance. It is as if your brain is a musical instrument that is finally being tuned to its natural resonant key. Picture the fluid inside your ear, the endolymph, moving like the tide of an ocean. As this fluid moves, it triggers electrical impulses that travel along the auditory nerve at speeds of up to 120 meters per second. These signals reach the brainstem in less than 10 milliseconds. This speed is why sound has such an instant effect on our mood. Before you can even consciously label a sound, your brain has already decided how it feels about it. This is why the low, warm tones of a cello or a singing bowl can make you feel a sense of relief before you've even fully heard the first note. Deep within the pons area of the brainstem, there is a cluster of neurons that manages your startle response. When you are exposed to a predictable rhythmic sound, these neurons undergo habituation. They stop reacting to the sound as a new event and start to integrate it into the background. This allows your nervous system to drop its guard. It is a biological surrender. Your amygdala, the brain's emotional watchdog, receives a signal from the prefrontal cortex that the environment is stable, which in turn lowers your heart rate and slows your pulse. At this very moment, your brain's glycogen stores are being replenished. Just as a battery needs to be recharged, your neurons need to rebuild their energy reserves for the day ahead. The synchronization of your brain waves, assisted by the steady presence of soothing frequencies, ensures that this recharging process is as efficient as possible. Every cell in your body is essentially listening to the state of your mind, using the harmony you are creating now to perform its own internal repairs. Consider that the very act of listening to this story is changing the functional connectivity of your brain. Areas that are usually isolated from one another are beginning to talk in a synchronized rhythm. This is the essence of a flow state. In this state, the boundaries of the self begin to soften and you become part of the resonant world around you. You are a symphonic reservoir, holding the wisdom of ancient traditions and the precision of modern biology. Your mind is quiet, your body is heavy, and you are perfectly in tune with the restorative power of the night. It is quite a revelation to realize that your body acts as a biological resonator, much like the hollow body of a cello or the sounding board of a grand piano. You have likely noticed how a deep bass note in a concert hall seems to vibrate specifically in your chest, or how the high-pitched chime of a bell feels like it's ringing in the very center of your head. This isn't just an illusion, it is a physical reality. because your body is composed of approximately 70% water, and sound travels through water at roughly 1,500 meters per second, nearly 5 times faster than it travels through the air. You are essentially a submerged bell, ringing with every frequency you encounter. What's happening now is a shift in your autonomic tone. A compelling study published in the journal Scientific Reports in 2019 demonstrated that listening to soundscapes designed with a focus on low-frequency vibrations can increase heart rate variability, or HRV, by approximately 12%. HRV is a critical marker of your nervous system's health. A higher variability means your heart is better able to switch between a state of activity and a state of rest. As you lie here, your heart is becoming more rhythmic and resilient, guided by the steady cadence of the world around you. At this very moment, your brain's white matter is benefiting from the long-term patterns of your auditory experiences. Consider the corpus callosum, the massive bridge of 200 million nerve fibers that connects your left and right brain hemispheres. Scientists at the University of Zurich discovered that individuals who engage in regular auditory practices have a corpus callosum that is up to 15% larger and more robust. This improved connectivity allows for faster communication between the analytical left brain and the creative right brain. You are, in effect, strengthening the highway of your mind simply by being present with these sounds. Deep within your brain, a structure called the arcuate fasciculus is busy at work. This is a bundle of axons that links the part of your brain that understands language, Wernicke's area, with the part that produces it, Broca's area. Research has shown that harmonic sounds can increase the fractional anisotropy, or the structural integrity, of this pathway. It's as if the sound is acting as a fine-tuning tool, smoothing out the wires and ensuring that your thoughts and your words remain in perfect alignment. You may find that after a period of deep listening, your internal monologue feels clearer and more peaceful. Think of your brain as a biological harbor where sound waves dock like ships, unloading their cargo of chemical signals. When you encounter a frequency of 432 Hz, a tuning often preferred by many ancient traditions, your brain responds in a very specific way. A 2019 pilot study conducted in Italy found that music tuned to 432 Hz led to a significant decrease in heart rate and respiratory rate compared to the standard 440 Hz tuning used in modern music. The participants' hearts literally slowed down to match the frequency, creating a state of bioresonance that the researchers described as being more in tune with the natural laws of physics. A compelling detail discovered by researchers at Juntendo University in Japan focuses on the 528 Hz frequency. They found that exposure to this specific tone for only 5 minutes led to a measurable reduction in salivary cortisol levels and a simultaneous boost in testosterone and oxytocin levels. This hormonal shift creates a chemical buffer against stress. It is as if the sound is a master key that unlocks your body's natural pharmacy, dispensing exactly what you need to feel secure and tranquil. Notice how the weight of your body seems to sink further into the mattress. This is partly due to the smallest muscle in the human body, the stapedius. Located in your middle ear and measuring only about 1 millimeter in length, this muscle contracts to protect your ear from loud noises. When you are in a safe, quiet environment filled with gentle sounds, the stapedius relaxes completely. This relaxation sends a signal through the facial nerve directly to the brainstem, indicating that the environment is secure. This tiny muscle's surrender is the first domino in a chain reaction that allows your entire muscular system to follow suit. At this stage of the evening, you are experiencing the Haas effect, also known as the precedence effect. Your brain is so sophisticated that if two identical sounds reach your ears within 40 milliseconds of each other, your primary auditory cortex, located in Heschel's gyrus, treats them as a single sound and uses the very first one to determine the location. This prevents your mind from becoming overwhelmed by echoes in your environment. This automatic filtering allows you to feel centered, even in a room with complex acoustics. Your brain is constantly simplifying the world for you, distilling the chaos into a single manageable stream of information. Deep within the temporal lobe lies the entorhinal cortex, which contains grid cells that act as your brain's internal GPS. Recent studies in neuroscience suggest that these grid cells don't just track your location in physical space. They also track your location in rhythmic space. When you listen to a steady, predictable beat, these cells fire in a synchronized pattern that helps map the time. This is why a rhythmic sound can make you feel so grounded. Your brain is using the sound to build a stable map of the present moment. Consider the echoes of the primary auditory cortex. Even after a sound has physically stopped, the neurons in the A1 region of your brain continue to fire in that same pattern for several seconds. This is known as neural persistence. It's the reason why the silence following a beautiful piece of music feels charged or heavy. Your brain is still playing the sound internally, allowing you to savor the experience long after the physical vibrations have faded. Right now, your brain is holding on to the most peaceful moments of the day, turning them into a lasting internal reservoir of calm. What's happening now in your parietal lobe is also of great interest. This area manages your sense of spatial awareness and where your body ends and the world begins. During deep resonant sound sessions, activity in the posterior parietal cortex decreases. This leads to a sensation often described as boundary dissolution, the feeling that you are floating or that you are merging with the sound. This is a perfectly safe biological phenomenon that occurs when the brain stops prioritizing the self and starts prioritizing the environment. It is a profound form of mental vacation. Scientists discovered in a landmark study at MIT that 40 Hz sound stimulation can actually recruit the brain's immune cells, the microglia. When these cells are exposed to this frequency, they transition into an active state where they begin to clear away metabolic waste products more efficiently. This includes clearing out beta amyloid, a protein that can build up and interfere with neural communication. You are essentially undergoing a microscopic spring cleaning while you rest, using sound as the catalyst for cellular renewal. As you breathe, your ventral striatum is likely releasing small, consistent pulses of dopamine. A 1991 study using PET scans showed that music and sound can increase regional cerebral blood flow in the areas of the brain associated with reward and emotion. This dopamine release isn't the spike you get from a screen or a sugary snack. It is a slow, steady leak that maintains a sense of well-being. It is the neurochemical equivalent of a warm, steady glow. Observe the sensation of auditory tactile synesthesia. While only a small percentage of the population, about 8%, has this as a primary trait, almost everyone has sub-threshold cross-modal activation. This means that when you hear a certain round or deep sound, your somatosensory cortex, the part of the brain that processes touch, actually fires. You are feeling the sound with your brain's touch centers. This is why some sounds feel soft, like velvet, or smooth, like glass. You are experiencing a multi-sensory tapestry woven by the neurons of your own mind. Deep within the core of your brain, the thalamocortical loops are beginning to slow down. These loops are the dialogue between your thalamus and your cortex, that maintains your waking consciousness. As the frequency of these loops drops from the 13 to 30 hertz of beta waves into the 8 to 12 hertz of alpha, and then the 4 to 8 hertz of theta, the world outside begins to recede. Your brain is preparing for the hypnagogic state, the transition where your thoughts become more visual and your logic becomes more fluid. This is where your brain performs its most creative problem solving, often without you even being aware of it. At this very moment, your adenosine levels have reached their peak. Adenosine is the chemical that builds up in your brain throughout the day, creating sleep pressure. When the pressure of adenosine meets the rhythmic entrainment of a soothing sound, your brain undergoes a phase lock. Your neurons begin to fire in a slow, massive, synchronized chorus. This is the hallmark of slow-wave sleep, the deepest and most physically restorative stage of your rest. In this state, your brain is doing something truly magnificent. It is taking the day's transient memories from the hippocampus and uploading them to the neocortex for long-term storage. This process, known as systems consolidation, is most efficient when the brain is in a state of deep rhythmic harmony. You are not just forgetting the day. You are distilling its lessons, keeping what is valuable, and letting the rest dissolve into the background. You are a masterpiece of biological wisdom. Every nerve, every cell, and every synapse in your body is designed to find its way back to balance. By providing your mind with the gift of these frequencies, you are simply allowing your internal systems to do what they have been doing for millions of years. You are a resonant being, safe in the knowledge that your mind is a sanctuary of order, harmony, and profound restorative peace. As you settle into this profound state of physical stillness, notice the subtle textures of your internal world. Have you ever considered that sound possesses a temperature? In the field of psychoacoustics, researchers have found that humans consistently categorize low-frequency sounds, those deep rolling vibrations below 250 Hz, as warm or heavy. Conversely, high-frequency sounds above 5,000 Hz are often perceived as cool or sharp. What's happening now is that your brain is translating these mechanical vibrations into a sensory map. This happens in the posterior insula, a region that integrates thermal sensations with auditory data. When you listen to a low, resonant gong, your insula literally mimics the neural signature of physical warmth, explaining why a deep sound can feel like a heavy, heated blanket draped over your shoulders. Consider the texture of the silence between my words. Scientists have identified a phenomenon known as sensory roughness. When two frequencies are very close together but not identical, they create a beating sensation that the brain perceives as physically jagged or rough. This is processed in the inferior colliculus, which acts as a high-speed filter. However, when we listen to consonant sounds, frequencies that relate to each other by simple whole number ratios, the roughness disappears, and the neural firing pattern in your primary auditory cortex becomes perfectly smooth. This neural smoothness is the biological equivalent of running your hand over a sheet of polished marble. Your brain craves this lack of friction. It allows the metabolic cost of processing to drop by nearly 15%, freeing up energy for your body's internal repair mechanisms. At this very moment, your brain is engaging with what researchers call Brownian noise, or red noise. Unlike white noise, which sounds like a harsh hiss, Brownian noise has much higher energy at lower frequencies, mimicking the mathematical pattern of 1/f², the same pattern found in the ebb and flow of tides or the rustle of a forest. A study published in the journal Sleep and Biological Rhythms found that this specific color of noise can reduce the time it takes to enter stage 2 sleep by as much as 38%. This is because the 1/f² pattern mirrors the natural fractal rhythms of your own neural firing. You aren't just listening to a sound, you are aligning your biology with a universal mathematical constant. Deep within your brain, the olfactory bulb, the center for smell, lies in close proximity to the temporal lobes where sound is processed. It is a compelling reality that certain frequencies can actually prime your sense of smell. In a study from Oxford University, researchers found that high-pitched, twinkling sounds can enhance the perception of sweet scents, while low-pitched, woody sounds enhance the perception of bitter or earthy aromas. Even as you lie here, the ambient sounds of your environment are subtly modulating the chemical receptors in your nose and the gustatory centers in your brain. You might find that the air in the room feels thicker or sweeter as the frequencies around you descend into the lower registers. What's happening now in your bones is equally extraordinary. Your skeletal system is not just a frame. It is a series of piezoelectric transducers. Collagen, the primary protein in your bones and connective tissues, has a crystalline structure that generates a tiny electrical charge when it is compressed or vibrated by sound waves. This is known as the piezoelectric effect. When you experience the vibrations of a singing bowl or a deep chant, you are physically charging your cellular matrix. This microcurrent stimulates the osteoblasts, the cells responsible for bone growth and repair. It is as if the sound is a master electrician performing maintenance on the very pillars of your body. Picture your brain as a lighthouse beacon, scanning a foggy coastline. As you move towards sleep, that beacon slows its rotation. This slowing is governed by the release of GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, the brain's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter. Recent research has shown that rhythmic sound entrainment in the theta range, 4 to 7 Hz, can actually increase the concentration of GABA in the thalamus. This chemical shift acts as a synaptic brake, preventing your neurons from overfiring. By slowing down the electrical chatter, the sound allows your prefrontal cortex to hand over the keys to your limbic system, the seat of your dreams and emotions. It's worth noting the role of the anterior cingulate cortex in your current state. This area is involved in emotional salience. It decides how much weight to give to a particular feeling. When you hear a sound that you perceive as healing or safe, the anterior cingulate works with the medial prefrontal cortex to dampen the activity of the amygdala. In a 2017 fMRI study, researchers found that relaxing music reduced the neural activity in the amygdala by 20% more than silence alone. This isn't just a lack of stress. It is an active, neurologically driven state of anti-stress. Notice how your perception of time has begun to warp. This is a hallmark of alpha-theta transition. Your brain's internal clock, located in the suprachiasmatic nucleus, begins to disconnect from the external passage of minutes and hours. Instead, it begins to follow the tempo of your internal rhythms. This is why a 10-minute sound experience can sometimes feel like an hour, or an hour can vanish in what feels like a heartbeat. You are moving into acronia, a state beyond time, where your hippocampus can freely sort through the day's data without the pressure of a ticking clock. Deep within the brainstem, the locus coeruleus is slowing its production of norepinephrine, the chemical that keeps you alert. At the same time, the pineal gland is responding to the dimming light and the rhythmic sound by increasing the synthesis of melatonin. A 2018 study in Italy observed that certain harmonic frequencies could actually boost the effectiveness of melatonin by lowering the baseline of sympathetic nervous system arousal. This creates a perfect storm for rest. Your core body temperature drops by about 1 to 2 degrees, your metabolic rate slows by 10%, and your brain begins to emit the long, slow pulses of delta waves. Consider the missing fundamental phenomenon. This is a trick of the auditory cortex, where, if you hear a series of overtones, harmonics, your brain will actually create the bass note in your mind, even if it isn't physically present in the air. This shows that your brain is not a passive receiver, it is an active composer. Your mind is constantly filling in the gaps, seeking out wholeness and completion. In a sound healing session, this top-down processing allows your brain to experience a sense of totality or oneness, which correlates with increased activity in the ventral striatum, the brain's pleasure center. At this very moment, your superior temporal gyrus is decoding the emotional prosody or melody of the sounds you hear. This area is so sensitive that it can detect the difference between a voice that is genuinely calm and one that is pretending to be. When it recognizes the genuine signature of peace, it triggers the release of endogenous opioids, your body's natural versions of morphine. These chemicals, specifically enkephalins and endorphins, dock into receptors in your spinal cord and brain, physically numbing any minor aches or tensions you might be carrying. Notice how the air feels against your skin. You are experiencing tactile auditory integration. In a 2005 study published in the Journal of Neurophysiology, scientists found that the primary auditory cortex actually responds to touch, and the somatosensory cortex responds to sound. They talk to each other through a network of intermodal neurons. This means that you are quite literally hearing with your skin and feeling with your ears. This cross-wiring is what makes sound healing such an immersive 360-degree experience. It's a full-body immersion in a sea of organized information. Scientists at the University of Geneva discovered that during sleep, the brain continues to process meaningful sounds while ignoring neutral ones. This is mediated by the thalamic gate. However, when sounds are structured with harmonic consonants, the gate stays open just enough to allow the soothing information to reach the cerebral cortex without waking you up. This is why a rhythmic low-frequency hum can actually shield your sleep from being interrupted by a sharp, sudden noise like a car horn outside. The hum acts as a buffer zone for your consciousness. In this state, your brain's default mode network, DMN, is undergoing a unique transformation. Usually, the DMN is busy with self-referential thoughts, the I, me, and my of daily life. But under the influence of steady resonant frequencies, the connectivity between the nodes of the DMN becomes more synchronized and less noisy. This leads to a reduction in rumination, the repetitive loop of thinking that often keeps people awake. You are transitioning from thinking about your life to simply being in your body. Deep within your cells, the mitochondria, the power plants of your body, are also responding to the vibration. Research in the field of mechanobiology suggests that mechanical vibrations can influence mitochondrial function and the production of ATP, the primary energy currency of the cell. By surrounding yourself with these frequencies, you are essentially providing a gentle oscillation that helps your cells clean their internal structures and optimize their energy output for the day ahead. Picture your mind as a garden at night. The high-pitched, busy thoughts of the day have folded up like flowers, closing their petals. The low-register sounds are like the cool, damp earth, providing the nutrients and stability for tomorrow's growth. Your brain is not shutting down. It is changing its focus. It is moving from external acquisition to internal restoration. Every breath you take is a wave in this ocean of sound, and every heartbeat is a rhythmic anchor, keeping you safe in the present moment. You are a biological masterpiece of resonance, perfectly tuned, perfectly balanced, and perfectly ready for the final descent into the deep, quiet waters of sleep. As we enter the final phase of our journey into the resonant mind, a remarkable transition is occurring within your hypothalamus. Deep in the anterior portion of this region lies a small cluster of neurons called the ventrolateral preoptic nucleus, or the VLPO. At this moment, the VLPO is acting as the master toggle for your consciousness, beginning to release inhibitory neurotransmitters like GABA and galanin. These chemicals travel down to your brainstem, where they systematically silence the arousal centers, the locus coeruleus and the raphe nucleus, that kept you alert throughout the day. Neuroscientists refer to this as the flip-flop model of sleep. It is a beautifully orchestrated sequence of biological silencing, where the activation of one system necessitates the quietude of the other. You are currently witnessing the flip as your internal architecture prioritizes rest over alertness. Notice how the rhythm of your internal monologue is beginning to lengthen and dissolve. This is your auditory steady-state response in its most refined form. Your brain is no longer seeking to analyze individual words, but is instead mirroring the slow, steady oscillations of your environment. In a 2013 study conducted at the University of Tübingen, researchers demonstrated that when rhythmic acoustic stimulation is timed precisely to the peaks of the brain's natural slow waves, it increases the power of those waves by nearly 25%. This synchronization acts as a biological entrainment, where the sound provides a scaffold for your brain to build its deepest, most restorative rhythms. You are essentially leaning into a frequency that your neurons are already beginning to hum. As you progress through the next few minutes, you will enter N1, or stage 1 sleep. During this transition, your brainwaves shift from the 8 to 12 Hz of alpha waves into the 4 to 7 Hz of theta waves. At this stage, your muscles may occasionally twitch, a phenomenon known as a hypnic jerk, which is simply your motor cortex releasing its final bits of tension. Your heart rate is beginning to drop by about 10 to 20 beats per minute, and your core body temperature is starting its nightly descent, eventually falling by about 1 degree Celsius. This cooling is a critical signal to your metabolism that the day's work is complete. In a short while, you will transition into N2 sleep, which typically accounts for about 50% of your total rest time. This is where two fascinating neural events occur: sleep spindles and K-complexes. The K-complex is a large singular electrical peak on an EEG, lasting about half a second. It serves as your brain's internal evaluation system. If a distant sound occurs, a car door closing or a house settling, the K-complex assesses that sound, determines it is not a threat, and sends a signal to the rest of the brain to ignore it. It is your primary defense against being startled awake. Simultaneously, your thalamus generates sleep spindles, rapid bursts of 11 to 16 Hz activity. Research published in the journal Current Biology found that the more spindles a person produces, the more likely they are to sleep through loud noises. Your brain is effectively building a wall of sound to protect your peace, using these high-frequency bursts to shield your consciousness from the outside world. Beyond N2 lies the deepest part of the night, N3, or slow-wave sleep. At this point, your brain produces delta waves, which are slow, high-amplitude oscillations between 0.5 and 4 Hz. What is occurring now is a process known as the synaptic homeostasis hypothesis, proposed by researchers Giulio Tononi and Chiara Cirelli. Throughout the day, your synapses, the connections between your neurons, have been strengthened by everything you learned and experienced. During N3, your brain performs a universal downscaling, weakening these connections by roughly 20%. This ensures that only the most important information is kept, preventing your neural networks from becoming saturated or overwhelmed. It is a nightly pruning that keeps your mind flexible and ready for tomorrow's new data. While your synapses are being pruned, your glymphatic system is ramping up its activity. Discovered only in 2012, this system is a macroscopic waste clearance pathway. During deep sleep, the space between your brain cells increases by a staggering 60%, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to flow through your brain tissue at a rate 10 times faster than when you are awake. This fluid moves along the outside of your cerebral blood vessels, clearing away metabolic byproducts like amyloid beta and tau proteins. Interestingly, research from Stony Brook University suggests that this clearance is approximately 25% more efficient when you are lying on your side rather than your back. Your brain is physically refreshing its internal environment, ensuring that the cellular landscape is clear and functional. At the same time, your endocrine system is executing its own nightly protocol. The pituitary gland is currently releasing a massive pulse of growth hormone. In fact, up to 70% of your daily supply is secreted during this deep, slow wave state. This hormone is essential for tissue repair, muscle growth, and the synthesis of new proteins. While your mind is quiet, your body is a hive of constructive activity, rebuilding the physical structures that carry you through the world. Your cortisol levels, meanwhile, have dropped to their lowest point in the 24-hour cycle, allowing your immune system to move into a state of pro-inflammatory repair, which helps your body identify and neutralize pathogens. As you settle even further, the pons area of your brainstem begins to send inhibitory signals to your spinal cord, initiating a state called atonia. This is a natural, temporary paralysis that prevents you from physically acting out your dreams. This ensures that while your mind explores the vivid landscapes of REM sleep, where brain activity is 20% higher than in some waking states, your body remains perfectly still and safe. Your REM-off neurons are stepping back, and your REM-on neurons in the subcoeruleus nucleus are taking charge. In this state, your brain uses nearly as much glucose as it does when you are solving a complex puzzle, as it works to consolidate your emotional memories and process the day's events into a cohesive story. What's happening now is a complete surrender to these biological cycles. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles logic, decision-making, and the sense of self, is finally going offline. This allows your amygdala and hippocampus to communicate without the filter of your conscious ego. This is why dreams can feel so profound and emotionally resonant. You are experiencing your mind in its most raw and unedited state. Your hippocampus is replaying the day's memories at speeds 10 to 20 times faster than normal, stamping them into the cortex for long-term storage. You are not just sleeping. You are becoming who you will be tomorrow. Consider the thalamic gate one final time. This tiny structure in the center of your brain is now almost completely closed to the outside world. It is filtering out the temperature of the room, the texture of the sheets, and the ambient sounds of the house. It is only allowing the most soothing, rhythmic patterns through, patterns that confirm your safety and your readiness for rest. Your adenosine levels, which were so high earlier this evening, are slowly being metabolized, clearing the sleep pressure so that you will wake up feeling alert and renewed. Observe the slow, heavy rise and fall of your chest. This is governed by the pre-Butzinger complex in your brainstem, the pacemaker for your breathing. It has shifted from the irregular patterns of the day into a steady, metronomic cadence. Every cell in your body is now in alignment with this rhythm. You are a biological masterpiece of synchronization. Your heart, your lungs, your neurons, and your muscles are all performing a unified symphony of recovery. As you approach the final descent, remember that your brain knows exactly how to navigate this terrain. It has done so every night of your life. It is an ancient, expert guide that requires nothing from you now but your presence. You are supported by the gravity of the earth and the chemistry of your own mind. The sounds of the day have faded into a single, low-frequency hum of existence. Your thoughts are like clouds dissolving into a twilight sky, leaving only the vast, quiet clarity of the night. Your neural architecture is successfully executing its nightly protocols. The gate is closed, the rhythms are steady, the cellular repair is underway. You are safe, you are whole, you are at peace. Everything is exactly as it should be. Your mind is a sanctuary of order and harmony. The silence is welcoming you. Surrender to the heavy, beautiful pull of the deep. Rest now. Restore now. Dream now. Good night.